Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of Talks with Tino. I'm excited. I hope you guys are having a good day, and if you're not, hopefully your day gets better. The weather's probably having some mental health issues at the moment because it's raining and then it's hail and then the sun comes out. So let's hopefully not just change our health today, but hopefully the weather's. So yeah, I have a fantastic guest with me today. Her name is Katrin. And, as we always like to do, we're just going to have some nice, light-hearted conversations like we do every week. And we're just going to talk about women this week. And we're going to focus on whether women matter. Do women matter? Do they matter? We know they matter, but is that the attitude as a society we have? Do we have that? Do we all share that attitude towards women? Because, mental health is life. It's just about how you feel, and it can deteriorate, it can improve, it can be stagnant. There's so many things that can happen, so many different anomalies and outcomes. So we just want to talk today about, what's happening at the moment. There's been obviously that tragic incident with that young girl that was walking home and was attacked by the police officer, and there's been the Meghan Markle, incident on Oprah, and I read in a recent statistic that 97% of women are sexually harassed, which to me is like, whoa, like where are you coming from with this? Like, because that challenges my understanding of what sexual harassment is. Like, what is it? Do you know what I mean? I think as men, we need to be more educated, because I can personally relate and argue that when it comes to racism, I feel like white people don't understand. So when it comes to sexism and women being discriminated, I can't possibly understand as I'm a male, to the full extent. But I would like to relate in the same way and argue that the way that black people are misunderstood and treated maybe sometimes with our societal norms that have been embedded is probably the same way that women are treated in the same way and discriminated. So let's have a chat and let's see how we sort of get to it. So Kat, I'm gonna let you come in. I'm gonna let you come in and introduce yourself. Like, talk to the people. Tell them hi.
Hi, hello. Thank you for having me on here. I'm excited.
Perfect. So, Kat, I'm gonna start off by saying, what do you make of just a summary of what's happening at the moment? And if you could maybe share probably how you feel. Like, for example, maybe walking home from a night out, or maybe talking to sort of a guy, or maybe just general in general, like job application or teachers or just anything. How do you sort of deal with what happens in day-to-day life, or how do you feel like before this issue was addressed? How would you say?
I think, first of all, you said you were shocked at the fact that 97% of women were sexually harassed. As a woman, I'm not shocked at all.
You see, I love the fact that you said that, and I'm so sorry that I interrupted you, but you hit a nail on the head, because I think same way you just went to me, you're not shocked. I think it's the same way that I would argue if someone was talking, for example, racism, and they said that, black people experience a lot of racism in this sector and like this and that, and somebody said that, I wouldn't be shocked, because it's something I experience every day. So I can really sort of connect with you on that level and be like, that's real.
Yeah.
But if you could you sort of depict on it and maybe expand on it?
I think, and excuse me if I get her name wrong, I think it was Sarah Everard. Her case is horrible, and it's heartbreaking, but we need to sort of step away from, it's very rare that a woman is attacked walking home at night. A lot of attacks on women are from men that they know.
Mm-hmm.
So I think as a woman, we're sort of taught to always don't walk home by yourself, don't put your earphones in, don't get drunk and walk home and things like that. But actually, that's not the case. The things, it's almost like it represents her case, everything that women are told to be scared of and told to be vigilant for. But we need to remember, actually, that's not the whole story. Think of, we both go to university, when you're in the students' union, when you're in clubs, things like when you walk past a girl, you don't need to put your hand on her bum to get past. And, if a girl rejects you, she doesn't suddenly become all of these horrible names that men spell out. Things like that, that is sexual harassment. And that is what women are so afraid of. Yes, we're afraid of these scary figures in the night and what may happen if you walk home alone. But actually, her case, as I said, is almost symbolic of everything that we fear. And it's symbolic of the sort of the hold that patriarchy has over our day-to-day lives.
I completely understand where you're coming from, and I like the way that you sort of worded that. Yeah, I think my next question or my next point would be, I suppose, would you say that? I mean, this is where I probably personally I'm coming from, and would look at it and say and argue that as men and as boys, our attitudes, maybe our banter, the way we do things with the boys, or we go out on a night out and you go out to pool, for example, and things like that. Would you say that type of I don't know, energy, that type of vibe, that type of like, right, we're out, we're doing it, sort of set standard for things like that to take place, and then girls maybe subconsciously prepare for it, and then it's like both sides, if you will, have created a predestined or self-fulfilling prophecy of what will happen. It's sort of like speaking it into existence, if you will. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's actually really interesting you got me on this episode, because my dissertation is on sexual assault at universities, and
I knew, isn't it?
What you're
somehow I do.
What you're talking about is like this term, sort of lad culture.
Yeah.
And the attitude that boys have, that it's like this pack mentality almost, of out with the boys, can say what we want, do what we want, because it's only banter and we don't mean it, and it's all casual, so it's fine. And if you're a woman and that really upsets you by what they're saying or the way they're acting, why are you overreacting? And don't take it like that, darling, like don't take it personally, sort of thing. And I did focus groups with young girls from our university, and they all said the same thing. They're so aware of it on a night out. If a man approaches you in an uncomfortable way, or you want him to sort of leave you alone, you're very conscious of how you react, because everyone will turn around and say, what's she kicking off for? Why are you overreacting? No. Oh, he's only joking. Calm down. Like, what's your problem, sort of thing. So we're taught to just sit back and let it play out, because if you do stand up, what's going to happen then? Is he going to get violent, or all his mates going to start coming in? Are you going to be made to feel really uncomfortable? So it is hard to sort of navigate where you draw the line of, I'm going to stand up for myself because I'm a strong woman and I respect myself, and you're not going to disrespect me. But however, always in the back of my mind is, I need to protect myself as well. And it's quite, it's a very thin line, and you never know if a man is genuinely being light-hearted, or if he just holds women in such a low regard. How will he react if you do stand up for yourself?
I very much agree with you, because I think that's the issue that you touched upon. I think in that last sentence that you said, like, you don't know whether a man is genuinely, a genuine person, if you will, or has good intention, or maybe he's not, and he sort of doesn't respect you, and he's not listening to sort of like your requests and things like this. You can't tell. So maybe your immediate sort of like reaction was just to sort of be, for lack of use of a better word. I personally would argue and say that, because let's say a lot of women have had similar experiences, that their predestined idea of what probably a man wants from them, or his intentions, represent maybe a front to which I think if maybe males are genuine, then they're like, so girls do that all the time, so they're not getting the message. So I think it's wrong for me to say it works both ways, because it doesn't. But my argument would be, as much as women face these sort of like issues on a daily basis, which do obviously affect their mental health, because that's your life. You want to be somewhere and you want to be comfortable. You don't want to walk around and feel like, I have to do this or be in a group of girls for this guy not to approach me and things like that. That's ridiculous. Just the same way as, I make the link to racism, because that's how I feel like I can obviously connect and understand, and then say, I don't want to walk around in the shop wearing, a pair of Jordans and, Ralph Lauren polo and things like that, and be followed by the security guard as if I can't afford a bar of chocolate that costs like £1.20. Do you know what I mean? It's just a bit silly. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to feel like that. So that I absolutely understand where, in that sort of context, women are coming from. But my only argument is, with racism, I feel like it's not my job to make people feel comfortable about what I go through on a daily basis, because that is my life. So it shouldn't be women's job to make men feel comfortable about talking about things that they go through, or for guys to approach the situation and be like, oh mate, they was on that, or whatever, it's not even a big deal. Like, I don't know why she's moving like that. What is it? What's the issue? And I think is probably where that education needs to come in. It's about maybe sort of like, in my eyes, connecting with your boys, and be like, nah man, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that. Why do you even want to do it?
I think, yeah, it's interesting what you say, and I don't want to ever make parallels between the two, but what you're saying is, my belief is, in terms of racism and overcoming that societal issue, that is white people's responsibility to deal with that and to educate yourself and to make steps towards understanding and take action to overcome it. In the same way in this situation, and there was a really interesting Damson Idris, the guy who acts in Snowfall, he tweeted and said, I don't care if all men need to sort of be called out in this situation. If we call out all men and make all men the villain in this situation, that's fine, because it might not be all men, but it's all women. Yes. And so in this situation, it's men's responsibility to sit back and say, what am I doing when I'm with my friends? Am I making stupid jokes in front of girls? Am I making jokes about their appearance that's making them uncomfortable? Am I staring at parts of her body that I don't need to be looking at when she's talking to me?
Yeah.
You know, I
suppose things like that are normalised.
Yeah, they are completely.
Yeah.
And like I said, when I did my focus groups with the girls in my dissertation, they just said it's just so normalised, you just ignore it. If a boy's being a weirdo, like I said, you don't kick off. You just say, all right, mate, and just go on with your night. There's no outcry. And when there's people around, there's no outcry. And like I said, it's the job of men in this situation to sit back and say, what role do I play?
Absolutely. I think in terms of men's role in this situation, I think I would sort of argue and say that I think it's difficult for men, not that it's an excuse, but I think this is probably the issue in terms of moving towards education and understanding women better. I think it's difficult for men sometimes to admit that maybe they do sexually harass women. Because I suppose some men may go in with the intention of just having a laugh.
Yeah.
You're out with the boys, you're out to have a good night. I'm not really on this, I'm trying to disturb her peace, whatever. It's not something that comes to mind. But your actions, unfortunately, at times speak louder than words, because no one walks around with a massive thought bubble and everyone knows what you're thinking, of course. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's probably part of the issue as well. Like, because some people may not go out with the intent to do that. They feel like they haven't done wrong. So they don't look at their behaviour, they look at their intentions. But sometimes your behaviour and intentions have to align. You know, you have to make sure that despite the fact that your intentions are not out here to sexually harass anyone or disturb anyone's peace, that's what you're doing. So you sort of just need to sit back and have a think about it. And I know it's very patronising. I don't like being told what to do personally, especially when people tell me to sit back and have a think. Are you serious? Like, what, am I 12 years old? Do you know what I mean? But it's not the essence of trying to patronise. It's the essence of just trying to understand a perspective from somebody else. And I think that's part of the issue as well, because sometimes maybe the way in which we approach things with emotion, you know, and I think it's the same with racism as well. I'm making that thing again, because I think everything's sometimes approached with emotion. Like, I feel like this and I'm not happy about it. So sometimes people pick up more on the emotion than they do on the message, because the message is just to stop, that's it. But the emotion may sort of cloud that message, because, you know, maybe a girl has had loads of experiences which she hasn't shared with the group, and she's just outwardly, you know, saying that men are this, men are that, men are that, and then obviously and automatically then the boys have got that mental block of, no, I don't want to listen to this, because it's like they're being attacked for something they haven't done or haven't had the intention of doing. So that conversation is difficult. So I think maybe that's where sort of like today's section comes in. We're hoping to sort of just open up that channel of communication and normalise it, and just be like, what happened? What did you feel comfortable about?
I think it's as well as education as well, and like you said, we keep talking about groups of boys, and it's just standing there and saying to your mate on a night out, listen, mate, just stop now. She's obviously not interested. Just walk away. And you know, and if, like I said, it's the responsibility of men, because me as a woman, if I say, just leave me alone, I'm not interested, and you go, well, why are you shouting at me? Why are you kicking off? I was being nice to you. I wanted to buy you a drink. But if your mate says, you're being a bit weird, she's obviously uncomfortable, let's just walk away, it has a much bigger impact. And that's not to say that, you know, that's not right, but that's where it needs to begin. And then we can get to a place in society where when a woman gets angry and says, you are making me uncomfortable, instead of you getting angry back, you say, I'm really, really sorry, rather than, you know, this, the first step is for men to take the lead, and then we will get to a stage where, you know, we all sort of understand, but we need to start with that like ground root education of what is acceptable and what is not. And I think it's just so normalised now that men, like you said, sometimes they don't even realise they're doing it, and that doesn't make it right, but I can understand that, you know, obviously don't get me wrong, there are some weirdos on nights out, and there's strange boys on social media and all things like that, and we're not talking about them. We're talking just about situations in clubs and things like that where you might be a little bit uncomfortable and you just want him to go away, sort of thing. And men don't realise that is sexual harassment, but it is, because you're harassing her. And it's just so easy to sort of not realise that's what's going on as a man, because it's so normalised, isn't it?
No, absolutely. I mean, so I suppose one could argue that maybe chivalry is dead, you know, but then what was chivalry in the first place? You know, was it designed to sort of respect women or keep women under? I suppose, you know, you know, that's a topic for another day. We won't go into that one. but I suppose, yeah, it's all very valid and very good points. I suppose we definitely need to sort of take that stance and sort of like understand and treat our women better. But I think it doesn't work both ways, but it takes both parties. You know, men have a responsibility, and I think women also have a responsibility. I can't speak for women, but from you know, what I've noticed and what I've picked up, it seems that they have a responsibility to just carry on, obviously relaying that message and keep on saying the same thing. I think we can also talk about Meghan Markle and her interview with Oprah, and how she mentioned that she was in a difficult position. You know, she couldn't seek, you know, mental help and stuff like that. I think that shows us maybe how much ingrained in society it is, because if it comes from such a, you know, I mean, personally, for people to say, you know, the most aristocratic, you know, family on planet Earth, you know, the royal family of United Kingdom, for goodness sake, you know, wouldn't have all those attitudes, you know, towards race and women, especially a black woman. I mean, that personally to me is unsurprising, but the point and the link I'm trying to make is, I think if it's from the top, from the people that we value the most, because we value the royal family as a country, that's what we do. You know, you think of England, you think of the royal family, you think of Buckingham Palace. These are the people that we put earnest and value into, and they share values that, you know, don't necessarily maybe promote women and maybe not promote equality. Then that is where probably we have a problem, because how do you interpret your information? You know, the videos you watch, maybe the music videos and things like that. How do you see things? How do you take that in? You know, you see these girls twerking and stuff like that. Like, you know, maybe, you know, I'm not saying don't twerk, but I'm just, I'm just saying, yeah.
The point is, like, we're going to talk about twerking. It's like, why should women have to not twerk? I mean, obviously,
absolutely,
you know, personally, it's not my type of, you know, bag, but why should women not be able to do that?
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's what I was trying to say.
And
I'm saying that.
The thing about Meghan Markle as well, I just want to get across, is it's really interesting how that was accepted by wider society. And I think, you know, the same way it's not up to white people to tell a black woman how she should have taken in that race. She experienced racism. Let's not beat around the bush.
Yeah.
It's not up for white people like Piers Morgan to turn around and say, oh, that wasn't racist. You know, it's not your job. But it's the same way, it's not a man's job to tell a woman, you weren't suicidal, you weren't depressed, because you're not really going through too much. And I feel like we place women, like, you have to hold so much on your shoulders, alongside things that we spoke about earlier with, don't walk home alone at night, don't get drunk and walk home, always get an Uber, text your friend your Uber's license plate and things like that. We hold that on top, and then we hold on top, oh, women are so strong. Women, you know, they take on their husband's mental health, and it's almost like you become this punching bag, and if you speak out against it, it's, you know, they call her a drama queen, and they say that, oh, she's so dramatic, and look what she's done to that family. And it's like, the woman was a victim of bullying in my eyes.
Absolutely.
But she was just meant to take it on the chin and just keep quiet about it, because that's what women do. And especially if we're talking about race, that's what black women do, because I don't, like, as a society, and you can talk for hours, for example, the way black women are treated in the NHS and just by doctors and things like that.
Absolutely.
Why are they meant to be so strong?
Yeah.
Who created this idea?
Absolutely. I so agree with you as well. Obviously, that sort of hits home with me personally, because, you know, my mother's a nurse, and I understand that, you know, black women have it, you know, from my eyes, very difficult. You know, they have to deal with a lot.
Well, a black woman is 4 times more likely to die in childbirth in the UK than a white woman.
There you go. I was just about to hit the statistics, but I'm glad you got me with the alley-oop there. We're doing a bit of Kobe and LeBron there. I like it. But absolutely. And that I think things like this don't... I think the issue for me is things like this, they don't hit home until something really bad goes wrong. That's the issue. The issue is not that we're not aware. I think the issue is that we're ignorant. Because being ignorant has a blissfulness about it. You know, as the saying goes, it's bliss to be blissfully ignorant. You know, it's nice, it's peaceful. If the issue does not affect you directly, you're less likely to do something about it, which in some terms is understandable because it doesn't affect you directly. But the problem is, the issue will never stop, and there's a responsibility that comes with taking on that action, you know. And I think it's difficult for people because people sometimes think, you know, they don't know how to do it. They don't know where to start. Where do I start with this, you know? And you always base it on the people that you're around and stuff like that. How do I just sit in a pub with the boys and start a conversation about what do you think about women? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just hard because it's just something you wouldn't do.
I think it's hard, but it's important.
It's important.
It's so
exactly.
important.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
It only takes one. It takes one man with his group of friends to say, boys, you know, I've been seeing this on Twitter, I've been seeing this on Instagram, I've been seeing people speaking out.
Absolutely.
Do you think we've ever done anything like that?
Absolutely.
Do you think that maybe we've ever made girls feel uncomfortable? Or that time that we all brought girls back, were they maybe too drunk? Do we need to think about our actions?
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think you hit the nail on the head with, we don't pay attention to it until something terrible happens. Because you look at that young woman who was murdered. Yeah,
if that hadn't happened, would we be having this conversation right now? Because that's the thing. It'll be on Twitter, everybody will retweet and stuff like that. But I think it's I don't know, our focus is on so many other things, you know, and I think some of the things that we listen to and stuff like that, it's how do you interpret that information? How do you interpret it? Everything that you watch and see affects everything that you do in your life. Everything that you do. And saying that is so kind of deep. It's like, oh, whoa, you hit me with, I don't need that. And I get it. I don't want to hear things like that, man. I have enough problems in my plate. But the issue I think that we probably may fail to recognize or maybe fail to realize is that we're very capable of dealing with these things. We have the strength and the power to do it. It's just a lack of confidence maybe from how society portrays what we can and can't do, and how we, you know, sort of idolize people that sort of maybe play football or in films. But that's only because that's what society valued. Maybe if society valued, you know, who's the most politest to girls, then that's what we'd go to do. We'd go to be really, really, really polite. Or maybe if society goes, who's the nicest to different cultures, and who's the most embracing, and who's the most, you know, understanding of equality and progression, then that's probably what we strive to do. We all go out to be equal. We all go out to this stuff if it's all over Instagram and things like that. So I think the message I probably leave with today is, how do you interpret your information? How do you take in that information? And when you take in that information, whether you sort of like it or not, to some essence, you hold a responsibility to act in a way that maybe is beneficial to not just yourself, but to other people. Do you do that? But anyway, don't want to hit people with that too much. I don't want people getting depressed. This is a positivity show. We just wanted to touch base on some of the issues that were happening today with this episode and just shine some light on it. Is there anything you want to say in terms of what we've talked about today?
I just sort of maybe want to just leave with, we all have a responsibility. Be it in overcoming racism, be it in overcoming sexism, be it in overcoming ableism. Take yourself out of your own shoes. If you are, for example, you know, a middle-class white male, so these things don't affect you. The same way I'm a working-class white woman, so certain things of race don't affect me. But you have to take yourself out of your shoes and say, what role do I play?
Absolutely.
In this society for allowing these things to happen. Do I stay quiet when my friends make jokes about race or jokes about rape or jokes against other classes and things like that? And you always just be aware and have uncomfortable conversations, because
Absolutely.
you know, you're people like Meghan Markle, and I keep seeing this on social media a lot. She's not going to see your quotes denying the fact she's suicidal. You know, girls in your friendship group may not have ever been sexually assaulted, but they will see your tweets denying this 97% statistic, and you may silence them one day. You may silence your female friend who is feeling extremely low and wants to come to you. You may silence your female friend who has been assaulted and wants to come to you. And that's the role you play. So even though things don't directly affect you, you be aware of your actions and be aware of what you're putting out into the world, because it will have an effect on someone.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said that better myself. Very well put. I hope you guys have sort of enjoyed this episode, and I hope, obviously, you know, it was a bit of a serious episode, this one. I think it was important to touch base on it, but I think it's also important to say it doesn't have to be done tomorrow. I mean, I'm not going to say it doesn't have to be done tomorrow, things like that, but it doesn't have to be done like, you know, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to do this. It's just the little steps, the little things that you do. Just have a look at them, just see if you can, you know, just laugh about it, be open about it, and don't be afraid to be wrong, because nobody's perfect. I think that's probably part of the issue as well. People expecting, oh, you should know this, you should know. No, you shouldn't know anything you don't know. It's not your job to know things you don't. If you don't know, you don't know. That's absolutely fine. Just make the progression when you can, improve yourself, you know, when you can, instead of helping other people. If you are that person that needs to do that, and we just move on. It's just about moving on and being together. So I think I'm going to conclude it on that. Thank you so much for tuning in to Talks with Tino. If you have, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and remember, as always, as we like to say on Talks with Tino, be kind to your mind. Thank you, and bye bye.